I've built, transformed, and reviewed hundreds of gaming setups and rooms over the years. And to this day, the question I still consistently get asked is, how can I improve the looks of my gaming setup? How can I transform my room? And how can I build my creative space? And I understand the struggle because I once was in your position wondering the same exact thing. But where I went wrong was copying other creators instead of taking inspiration from other people, to the point where I was buying the exact mics, mouse pads, keyboards, you name it. And I never actually bought anything that I personally tested or actually liked in my setup when I first started out. Especially when you're starting out, this is detrimental as it's taking away from your creativity, interests, and personality. And let's be honest, no one wants to see an exact copy and paste of a setup. Now look, you can take inspiration and copy certain things, but if there's no personal twist or your interests kind of fused into your setup, it's just kind of boring. So in today's video, I'm gonna be giving you guys 5 building blocks or foundational tips to help you guys if you're just starting out building a setup or you already have something established and you wanna make some changes. At the end, if you've watched all the way through and taken into account all the tips and tricks I give you, I guarantee you'll have a better sense of direction on where to take your setup. But before we begin, if you are interested in anything that I talk about in today's video, whether it's aesthetical changes, setup peripherals, PC parts, whatever, I will have links down below in the description to everything in my setup, as well as everything that I will be talking about in today's video. Enough talking, let's get into the first tip, and that is decoration. I put this at the start because this is honestly one of my favorite things to do. While some may say that this is something that you should do towards the end of you building your setup or room, I disagree, and here's why. Now, I'm not the most creative person in the world, but when I first started by what I wanted to decorate my room with, it gave me a better sense of what my interests were and how I can fuse that into my setup like I previously mentioned. With all these tips, I'll first be giving you guys examples of how I use them in my personal setup, and at the end, I'll be giving you guys more examples to kind of get your mind brainstorming ideas to really help you. The 3 main decorations that I have in my room and setup are based on personal interests that I have. The first is cars, the second is Legos, and the third are keyboards. First, I'm gonna talk about my car posters because these are honestly one of my favorite parts to my room. A brief backstory, I've always been into cars. I'm a true car enthusiast. I go to car shows, car events. I live and breathe cars, so this is right up my alley. A couple videos back, you may have seen, but I transformed my gaming room and streaming setup, and I actually added these 3 car posters into my room. Funny enough, I actually found them scrolling through Instagram Reels where I found a page that displayed these posters that some guy made simply inside of Photoshop, and I thought the idea and concept was so cool, so I ended up buying 3. They were a little bit expensive, coming in at around $25 to $30 per poster, and that's just the actual paper themselves. I did spend about another $20 to $30 on Amazon to actually complete the posters and hang them up. It was a super easy process, and not only do they look amazing in my setup, but they filled up a bunch of empty space on my wall with nothing else than my personality. Next are Legos, and let's be honest, who doesn't love Legos? Ever since I was a kid, I've been building Legos, and so I thought, what is a great way where I can kind of simply incorporate Legos into my setup? Because as we know, Lego setups can be very, very big, so I didn't want anything that was too big where it took up a lot of space on my shelf. I wanted some subtle things, and keeping with the same thing, just like the previous decoration of my car posters, I decided to build Lego cars. Legos can be very expensive, but if you do find some small decor pieces, they're pretty inexpensive, under around $20, and they make a great addition to shelves, desks, really anything in a gaming setup. A perfect example is my girlfriend has Lego flowers displayed on her shelves, and they just add for a great addition to her room. I've also seen people build little Lego cup holders for pens, pencils, and other things on their desk, such as camera accessories, and you can get really creative as they're Legos, and really the limitation is your imagination and creativity. Last but not least are my keyboards. Now, I've been custom building keyboards for years. I don't really do it much anymore, but I still collect keyboards in the pre-built keyboard area, if you want to say. And while I do have tons of keyboards and they really are taking up so much space on my shelf, there's still something cool that I find to be a nice little hobby that I like investing into every once in a while, and they also make for a great addition on my shelf. Just like my previous decoration, they do fill a lot of the empty space, and that's one of my favorite things. Those are the 3 examples that I personally feel tie in best to me, but there are plenty of other examples. I've seen some of my friends incorporate shoe shelves if you collect shoes, candles, Funko Pops, posters, vinyls, records, the list goes on. And I'll try to link a bunch of examples down below in the description just to kind of see if you guys are interested in anything as well. Second on the list, and I'll be honest, no one likes to hear this, but you gotta cable manage. I don't care what anybody says. If you don't have good cable management, you're not gonna have a good looking setup. So to keep this tip short, sweet, and simple, I'm gonna be giving you guys exactly how I cable manage in my gaming setup, as well as examples and things that you guys can incorporate to help better cable manage your setup. So my situation is a little bit different. And if you've seen any of my setup tours, I actually have a custom desk that my dad built. The best part about this desk is that I have something called a secret cable drawer. Basically, it's a drawer that we built into this desk when we custom built it that primarily acts as a cable management drawer. There are around 5 to 6 holes on the back of the desk where I could just simply feed cables from the top of my desk down into the holes and into the cable tray. The best part is we were built it so that it was able to hold a full power strip, plugging in lights, monitors, PCs, mic, everything all into one. And all I have to simply do is shove all the cables in there, really not have to worry about zip tying anything, close the matic door, and it blends right into the desk. And if you don't have any idea when it comes to cable management, here are good places that you can start. Zip ties, Velcro strips, cable clips, cable sleeves, those vertebrae things that you can basically put cables in if you have a standing desk are also really great options. I know it's frustrating and we all hate it, but take the time, do your cable management, and I promise it'll pay off. The third tip that I'm gonna give to you guys is find a theme for your room setup or creative space. There are a lot of different meanings that a theme can have. One could be the theme of your PC. In my case, I have a white themed PC. You may have a black theme, a red theme, a green theme, a purple themed. It could be anything, but try to keep the theme of your room and setup or creative space consistent. I'm talking the same colored peripherals, if you can find the same colored keycaps, mouse pads, keyboards, audio gear, stream deck, whatever. I try to keep all my peripherals white, and I understand that's a little bit more expensive and they are a lot rarer to come by, but that's just the theme that I've created for my room and setup that I really like. I also have a white floating bed, I have white shelves, I try to have white RGB lights, everything is white, and that's my theme. And a couple tips when it comes to actually picking a theme is if you're picking a theme for your PC, for example, try to keep a lot of the parts in your PC, like your RAM, cooler, GPU, other things like that, the same brand. All my fans in my case are Lee & Lee fans, meaning they all sync on the same software. They're all the same brand, which means they daisy chain together, which means they all connect together and they look way better. If I had tons of different branded fans, they'd all be on a different RGB hub. It'd be really confusing to control and the design would look different. So when you pair the same RGB with a different design, it just doesn't look right. Try to go with all NZXT fans or all Lee & Lee fans or all Corsair fans or whatever it may be. So try to keep things simple. You really don't have to overdo it. Finding a theme is just implementing your personality into your favorite color, and that's really it. The fourth tip on the list is going to be monitor arms. The reason I'm dedicating a whole section just to monitor arms is because when I occasionally review setups from time to time over on my Twitch channel, when my viewers submit their setups in my Discord with a bunch of different pictures, the most common tip I give to people is get a monitor arm. I don't think people realize how much space those monitor mounts take up. I mean, some of them where they're shaped in like a circle can take up like 5 to 10 inches. That's a big portion of your desk, especially if you're on a 1 monitor setup, 2 monitor setup, or even 3 monitor setup on a normal sized desk. That's gonna take up a lot of wasted space on your desk. So you might as well just lift them off your desk. Not to mention when you have monitor arms on all of your monitors, it gives you so much more flexibility to pivot, move, and completely adjust the monitor layout to your exact liking. Last but not least, no one likes to hear this, but clean your setup. Cleaning your setup is one of the best things that you can do to just make it look better. I don't care if you have a $4,000 PC, $1,000 monitors, insane setup, insane desk, all this stuff. If your setup is dirty, it is not appealing. I don't care what anybody says. If you're on carpet, vacuum. If you're on floors, sweep, mop, do whatever. Wash your bed sheets if you're in your room, make your bed, dust your shelves, blow out all the dust in your PC, clean your monitors with a microfiber cloth, wipe down your desk from time to time. I promise you, just taking that extra 20 to 30 minutes to consistently clean your setup every few weeks, maybe even a month, depending on how dirty it actually gets, can really go a long way. Tip number 6 is a bonus tip, and this consists of RGB and lighting in general. Now look, RGB is one of the best things that you can ever add to a room and setup. It makes things pop, it makes things more aesthetically pleasing, but it is so easy to overdo. I used to think more was better, and when I applied that to RGB, that was a bad recipe. So if you are gonna implement RGB, here are a few tips I give to you. The era of RGB on your ceiling is over. Look, that looks terrible. It's gonna fall off your wall. Everybody has that remote that's dangling down in that corner. It looks horrible. If you are gonna go that route, please diffuse it. It just looks so tacky if you keep it like that. There are are plenty of great alternatives that I'm gonna mention to you guys right now. First is an RGB rope light. This comes pre-diffused and you can make tons of cool designs and shapes. It's really easy to set up with just a bunch of adhesive strips that they actually give to you guys. I made a design above my productivity setup. It's a pretty basic design, but I think it looks really cool. And I also have the same one on the baseboard of my room, which pretty much just illuminates right up to my shelf. I think it looks super cool. The app customization is amazing. You can set it up on timers, Alexa, anything, you name it. I also have Nanoleafs right behind me. Big shout out to Nanoleaf for sending those out. I wouldn't have bought these myself, so I'll be completely transparent and honest. These are extremely expensive. This is a pack of 12. It's not even that big and it's $250. It's crazy expensive. Floodlights are also a great addition that you can add to your setup. A few examples of other RGB that I think look really, really cool are like fairy lights that people dangle from the ceiling or hang on their curtains. Light beams are really, really cool. Puck lights are great for shelves. I know I did a lot of talking, but I really felt like I just needed to group together everything that I felt like I've explained in my short form content into one long form video, just to give you guys a good starting point or foundation with some building blocks on some good setup practices to hopefully give you guys a better starting point, or if you've already built a setup, a better point from there on out with your setup. Again, this is just all my personal opinions. Feel free to take the information that I provided however you'd like. Thanks again for watching this video, and I will catch you guys in the next one.
Oh my goodness. I just headshot slammed both of them.